my gosh. You know how I get. You know how I get. Good morning and fun new faces. Miss Sarah jumping in. Miss Denise from Maine. Coach Dibs is back in action. I love it. I need to call you all out. You know that, but I'm so happy to see Witham and Rasha and Elena. Thank you. Elena, I'm calling you out. There you go. Oh my gosh. So kids, everybody, happy Wednesday, as we all know. Welcome to Get Your Professional Edge On virtual breakfast. We don't fuss around here. This is the time that you're to get your professional edge on. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning. I'm looking forward to working with you on Wednesday. Today, some way, whatever day it is. Anyway, guys, hello. Thank you so much. Obviously, I greatly appreciate and feel such touched and joy from you choosing to jump on in on our Wednesday Get Your Professional Edge On virtual breakfast. This is for you. I am Amy Cole, an executive coach, a career coach, I should say, executive career coach, but executive recruiter of 20 years. We've been coaching 10 to 12 of those years because obviously the most important thing when I am putting you out in front of an organization and a company to get a job is to make sure that you are primed and ready to rock and roll. And I have found that that's my gift and that I adore that. So thank you for being a part of the coaching things too. And then we do speaking and training for organizations on how to better hire, how to build out teams. So I share that for a lot of reasons. Should you know folks that need to be recruiting, and I need to be more about, and I'm going to teach you guys too, how to ask. You build relationships and then you're welcome to have an ask. So should you know people, hey Rod, should you know people that are recruiting, let's talk turkey about how we can benefit that company. Because the more jobs I have, the more jobs I have for you. You are building this relationship with Amy Cole as your representative in the marketplace as well. So thanks so much. Again, you're at Virtual Breakfast, Get Your Professional Edge On Career Zoom. I'm Amy Cole, and this is for you. We are a resource for you. As my sister Lisa and business partner of 25 years says, she feels like this is your personal advisory board. Every one of the men and women in these Hollywood squares is someone that you can reach out to and use this connective tissue, this Wednesday Zoom, and say, hey, I see you on the Hollywood squares. We haven't gotten to meet in the breakout sessions. What you do is something of interest to me, and or I'd love to share something that I think could be of interest for you. We are a give cast of characters, which makes it really fun. I love that part, and whatever blossoms from this relationship over these weeks is what's meant to be. I know that we're all called according to a purpose, and I do believe that 110%. You know that. So, that is a little bit about me. We are a group of leaders. There are HR professionals on this call for my relationships with hiring managers in the industry of consumer goods and manufacturing. So for those, keep your eyes and ears open for those men and women as well. This is our time. And I say this every week because I think it's so important. And this is the feedback I'm getting. It's a bit of an accountability. Right? It's a bit of a kick in the pants. It's a bit of an injection of some fun and some spirit and some remembering that we are very valued in the marketplace and that what each and every one of us has to share or give expertise or personally is needed and valued. I should slow down when I speak that because I'm speaking to myself. Although I get on here and I start jumping up and down and get excited, I too feel that day of going, is this getting me anywhere? Am I doing the right things? Am I a good recruiter, right? We have those days where we say, well, this isn't moving somewhere. How come, and yet my faith, so whatever your faith is, I respect whatever your faith is. My faith is that God's given me a plan to continue to persevere, to promote people. I feel as though I ended up finding my calling because I just love it and do it. But doesn't mean that I don't do it with saying, is this right? Am I okay? And so I want you to know that we're here for accountability, to support each other. And that, we are living a faith-based life, not a fear-based life. This is a blip in the market. It's not a good market blip at all. It stinks. We've been through tons of these guys. This is a pandemic. We have 9/11. We have the housing crisis. As a recruiter, I have to analyze my business. And I've gone through these waves many times. At 9/11, people scattered out of New York City just like they're doing today. And about a year and a half later, Lisa and I were staffing like crazy. Why? Once companies constricted, clients then started to come back, and then they had streamlined so much, they were in a pickle. They couldn't handle all the people they needed to hire. So they were willing to pay a recruiter. Put me in the driver's seat as a recruiter. I will be in the driver's seat probably in another 12 months. We've seen a few things cracking open. You're seeing on LinkedIn that the market is opening a bit. You're seeing HR executives talk about that. Okay. So this is a place for us to get prepared. It's a new paradigm in the work marketplace. And today is such an exciting day. I can't wait to tell you and introduce you to Cynthia, our guest. But this is a place for us to think about new things. And, so we're really a tightly woven little network right here on these squares. As I got to look at both a couple of pages. And I want us to not use each other, that's the wrong word, but to excite each other and empower each other. And that brings me to a little piece of, how I run into different things during my week. And last week we talked about inspiration, right? And I said, please watch Shine On. Did everyone get that? Shine On, Reese Witherspoon's Netflix about wonderful, powerful women, fabulous. And then Record Exploder about all the #1 hits and what it takes to bring those people together. That inspired me. And this week I had something come across my desk in a biblical sense. It was a sermon and it was about creativity. And I thought about that a great deal because we are really creative individuals. I mean, isn't it a little kooky that an egg and a sperm make each and every one of us completely different? I mean, it's a little crazy, right? Is that not God's creation or some crazy creativity? No one of us is the same. Even twins, although they have the physical attributes outside, they're not the same. It's insane. It's gorgeous. And we're meant to be creative. We're called to be that creative. And, I think all of us look for opportunities to be creative in a sense. And we're always jumping to or excited about or thriving for that next place where we can fulfill that dream, that satisfaction of a purpose, that satisfaction of what we're created for. And I have complete and utter faith in all of us that as we continue to build and imagine new things, that we can reach them. And I want us to make a daily demand on our creativity. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys are like this. I'm not going to say I'm a drinker because I'm not a drinker, but I've been looking for things to do, right? This whole COVID thing, about 5:36, 7:30, when I finally shut off this darn computer, I'm looking for something to do. And I said to myself, I'm just like antsy today. I want to do something creative. So I pulled out those crazy, those coloring books that are all, you color your way through life and open up your mind. I got antsy on that, although I own so many pens and pencils and colored markers, you guys would crack up. But I'm like ready for some creativity. And I don't want to go to TV. I don't want to look at another box. I just want to be, in another place because everyone's daydream, anyone that's successful started with a daydream, right? Let's look at Michelangelo. He took a piece of marble. He said, this is a hunk of marble. Someone told him it was a junky piece of marble, by the way. And he was inspired and felt that there was some type of angel inside. Hello, the David, call me crazy, drop dead gorgeous, all over this globe, statues of the David, all over museums. This is where we're at today. We all have that inside of us and we see it. Someone else doesn't have to see it, but we do. We've got the vision. It's our vision. It's your vision. And that's what gets me very excited about learning about the economic and the work landscape, because we get to play that part in this new landscape today. So I should say, sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't saying hi to everybody in a big way. But anyway, you get where I'm going with this. This is what we're talking about. Creativity is like a fire. It's like a fire. So I don't care if you like to play solitaire and it brings up creativity. I love puzzles. I do love solitaire. I play Scrabble by myself. Isn't that silly? But you know what? I like the mindness of it, putting those words together. I call it fast Scrabble, and I should teach you about this. It is a blast. But many times we act on our creativity, and many times we fail to act on our creativity. So if this Wednesday morning gets us rolling at all, I want us to act. I would like to help us get excited to act on our creativity. And when I see everybody's faces here, I know each and every one of you. If I don't know you yet, we will get to know each other. But for many of you that I do know, and I could kiss you, and we've talked professionally or personally, or we've been through things together in either environment, professional or personal, I know that you have that gift because I enjoy and am stimulated by those that elevate me. So that's the kind of groups of people that we like to work around, right? And those dreams and those creations, those visions that you think maybe nothing of, you want to throw it aside? Don't do it. Don't throw it. Don't throw it. Because don't they keep popping up? Kind of like the bad boyfriend that you know is a bad boyfriend, but you hang out. Keeps popping up. Keeps popping up. Bad job. You know it's a bad job. Keeps getting worse. Keeps getting worse. Doesn't go away. Your creative juice, your special sauce isn't going anywhere. So live with it. Love it. Chew it up. Embrace it. So that's really where I was inspired this week about the creativity. And I thought that's what made me get antsy at 6 o'clock, 7 at night. I'm like, I'm antsy. I want to be creative. Gosh dang it. I'm going to be creative. So let's inspire each other in those different ways. And what's exciting for me today is my guest is an inspiration for me. She is a creator. She's constantly making connections to new things in the market and sharing it with others. She's a giver. She unzips and pours out, and it elevates me. And it goes right back to what we talk about every week on Virtual Breakfast, Career Zoom, the 5 P's of your professional edge. And I indicate these every week, not to bore you, not to test you, but to show you the importance, your 5 P's of your professional edge in a marketplace today. Your purpose, your professional brand, which is how you deliver your skills and expertise. What's the branding of what you do? Your profile, your professional profile, your LinkedIn, your resume. What do they say about you? Do they show your purpose and brand? Have you chosen the right words? Have you chosen the right methodology on that LinkedIn? To show, is your professional profile prove your purpose and your brand? Okay? Your brand is your skills and expertise and how you deliver them. Your professional profile is all your skills and expertise woven into that purpose and brand so that you're unique, your secret sauce, your special DNA, that God-given gift is showing. Number 5 is your partnerships, right? Who are we partnering with through which to get to the next level in our lives? Who are we A husband is a partner in life so that you can raise a family or not raise a family, whatever your choice may be. But so that you have other things together as a couple. Partners mutually benefit each other. And then my 5th P is positioning. Purpose, brand, profile, partnerships, and your positioning. Where are you putting those partnerships? Where are you putting them out there? Where are you putting your profile out there? Where are you positioning yourself? In what way? Are you dressed up when you come to Zoom? Do you have lips on? Is the light showing you well? Because this is your industry association breakfast and it does matter. Did I flat iron the hair? I did. It's Wednesday. I got to update the look, right? Can't have you looking at me in my schlubbies. So that's what we're talking about. And I want to think about partnerships right now. Today's conversation is about purpose, your branding, your profile. It's about all of the 5 P's really, because we're going to talk about the landscape and this new gig economy and how it affects you. But it's really also very important to take a look at our partners, our network. The network is your partnership. Cynthia, who will speak today, is a partner of mine over many years. Don't forget, a partner is complementary, not competitive, right? You're both out to benefit each other. And partnerships give you that sense of calm. They whip you into shape with that to give you clear direction. And they offer a lot of hope and encouragement because they believe in you as you believe in them. You can believe in people and help people fail too, guys. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Fail up. As I say, fail fast. Let a friend, a good partner say, Aim, that's a bad strategy. It's not going to get you anywhere. Really? Oh, I thought it was so smart. You like it, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Okay, thanks for telling me, right? So I want to ask you, before we get into the topic today, to think about your networks, your network, your partnerships, and who's influencing you. Are you surrounding yourself with opportunities, with partners, with people that inspire that creativity, right? If you really wrote a list, are you the inspiration? It's not fun to do this. And actually, I did this once in therapy. It wasn't easy. Write down your best friends. Are you always elevating or are you being elevated? It's a tough question. Are you being inspired? Are you being encouraged? Are you being supported? It's great to elevate, but it's a little bit like you want to be not the brightest person in the room because you want to continually learn. And Cynthia is a partnership of mine that makes me learn and think about the market in a new way. And so do these friends and family and these partners of yours spark that imagination, right? Do they challenge your mind? It's not as though you need to cut them all out because they don't, but you need to allocate your time wisely. When 7:30 comes and I'm ready for creativity, okay, the book didn't fascinate me the other day coloring. I got a little antsy. That made me antsy too. I think I need to get outside and burn some energy a little bit more than we all are. I think everybody's feeling that. But I want to be encouraged to do new things, to see new ways, and that's what gets me going. And that's a way that can get you guys going too. So before I invite Cynthia, okay, I want to just make sure that you take a look and think about that in our lives as we listen and learn from her today. Are we really paying attention and spending time on reading? Harvard Business Review is one of my favorites. Too dense sometimes, but you know what? Every time I read, I'm highlighting. They have something to teach me, specifically in the human capital, human relationship, human development of careers right now, and how companies are realigning their executives. They're realigning their management structure. By 2025, guys, 75% of the workforce is millennials. So in the next 5 years, that's 4 years because 21's around the corner, we've got to look at ourselves and say, how do I fit into that picture? If 75% of the labor force is just by a sheer age bracket going to be millennials, are you managing those people well? Are you keeping them attractive and interested in your company so they don't leave? Okay, I won't go off onto that, but again, all this stuff is stuff to think about. So here we go. I'm excited to bring on Cynthia. Last week, we had Lisa Dibbs. Coach Dibbs is here, who taught us a great deal about living in her passion as well, right? She left that corporate America, became a health coach as a side hustle. It was a plan B, and due to COVID, became plan A, and she's never been happier. So Coach Gibbs, congrats. Love it, love it, love it. We have Julie Hedrick, Vice President of La Perla, who has gone through the ranks in the apparel industry. And she didn't want to tell you guys this. I don't know why she got quiet. So the banana bread baking of the past 6 years was kind of a hobby, as she told you. Well, now she has corporations ordering 70 and 80 loaves at a time to benefit their customers. So she's taken a small business. It's not big yet. She's not making money yet. But when you get an order for 70 loaves for this Columbus Day weekend and 52 loaves to satisfy that clientele, that will spiral into something bigger. And that's what we're talking about when it comes into the gig economy. It's a great feeder, what we talked about last week, into this week's conversation. So this week is called Thriving in this New Gig Economy, and leveraging, the thoughts of people like Malcolm Gladwell, Robert Kiyosaki, and Alvin Topfer. And Cynthia Greenwald is one of those wonderful people. I'm going to introduce her right now. I'm going to highlight her. Find you, Cynthia, baby doll. Where are you, girl? I'm looking. Please hold. Are you raising your hand? Are you helping me out? Throw me a bone. Let's see. Cynthia. Maybe she'll. Oh, Cynthia Greenwald. I see you. So sorry, girl. Thank you. Help me out. Excellent job. Okay. So Cynthia and I met through a friend. And a woman who I was networking with in business said, you need to meet this girl, Cynthia. She is so you, but a whole different energy. Like not a whole different energy, but a different tier of thought processing within networking and cultivating. So I'm going to give you a little bit of her hardcore, impressive background, and then she can be her gorgeous, amazing self as she shows us new things. She is the peak performance consultant of social capital and a social capital coach. I call it networks. She calls it social capital. Similar, different word. She loves to think about breakthrough partnerships, hence our relationship for many years. Graduated from the Wharton School of Business. Nothing to snap about. New York Times bestseller. And if you guys are familiar with Business Network International, it's called BNI. They are global, international, and it is where different chapters get together and put one of each category, a lawyer, a mortgage broker, a real estate person, a recruiter, in a room, and you get together once a week and you empower each other and you feed each other networks, because referral networking is the #1 way to build business. And she was there for 10 years and she founded over 51 chapters in Florida, and they had never been there before. So that's the boring stuff. The good stuff is what Cynthia is going to share with us. So Cynthia, I'm going to have you take over. And I'm also going to use this 1 minute because you're going to show a PowerPoint today, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I just need to be able to share my slides and we'll be good to go.
Okay, so let me make you a co-host, my darling.
Fabulous.
Yeah, how come I can't do that? Can someone help me? Lisa Cole. Lisa, are you trying? Oh, here we go. I got it. More. Make a co-host. All right, girlfriend. There you go. You are now a co-host. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. And also, will you just do the training on Zoom, letting people know that they can watch your screen, but how they can also look at the side?
Oh, absolutely. All right, great. So thank you for having me. I'm going to do a quick sort of technology setup so that you can maximize your experience, your viewing experience. And some of you already know this, so this will be a repeat. As soon as I hit share of my slides, you'll notice that the slides look really big, and maybe I'm over to on your screen, I'll be over to the right, and I might be small. So between my slides, if you're looking at the slides, let's actually do it right now. Just do like a fun little test run so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so you're going to see the talk, thriving in the new reality, dancing with the emergence of the new gig economy. So that should be on the left, and my face, as you're looking at the screen, will be on your right. There's a vertical line in between the two images, and if you hover over it, you'll see a little arrow going left and right, and you can slide that baby, and you can shrink my slides and make my face big. You can enlarge the slides and make my face smaller. So it's a really fun tool that lets you manipulate your own screen. Is that working?
Yep, it's working. And you
also yourself, Amy, are you okay?
I'm perfect. And you can also choose to do still, square grid format so you can see a bunch of people. Yes, perfect. Thank you. All right, my friend, take it away. Right, we've got 15, 18, 20 minutes here.
Okay, fabulous. So I'm going to come on and off the share screen just so that sometimes it's just me talking with you, and then there'll be times I'm going to refer to the visuals. And the reason I'm going to be doing that is I'm here to retrain, reinvent, rewire our thinking, not just yours. My own thinking gets rewired in this conversation. So I find that you're hearing my voice, seeing the words is part of how we support the amygdala, part of the brain that I'm going to be talking about, which is where we store patterns. So if you've ever learned to say dance salsa, you store a particular pattern. If you dance on one or if you dance on two, that just gets stored to the point where you can just dance and not be thinking about it. So dancing, though it's an art form, it also has mechanistic elements to it. So it's not bad to use our machinery. It's just a problem when we're used by our machinery, not to our own awareness. So what do I mean by that? If I have an automatic way of replying when someone doesn't do things my way, that might be my machinery. Maybe it's I get mad, or I get withdrawn, or I sulk, or I leave the room, or I lash back. So that's what I mean by we have machinery. Sometimes it serves us, sometimes it doesn't. I'm talking about how do we use our machinery so that it lets us be present, because once you learn a certain way to dance, you can actually just be with your dance partner because the steps are now wired in like patterns into the amygdala. And then I can be really with you if you're my dance partner and not trying to remember where my feet are. If I used to sing a cappella in college and I needed to store the music I was learning into my amygdala so it became mechanistic that I would know what song, what place, what beat. Because then once we were in our horseshoe singing a cappella, I could be with not just the audience. I get goosebumps thinking about this. I could be with the other 11 voices and listen to them while being with the audience and be fully present in the magic of what we were creating, because my songs were stored like machinery in the amygdala, so I didn't have to have my attention on that. So this is the magic of the two. So we're going to be talking about how do we up level who we are so that we can dance with the emergence of what's going on around us. So here is one of my most, I would say my most favorite thought leader. His name is Alvin Toffler. And he wrote a book called The Third Wave. And I'm quoting from it right here so we can go look at it and you can hear me say it. You can read it to yourself. Here's what he said in his book, critically acclaimed book, The Third Wave. He said, a new civilization is emerging in our lives, and blind people everywhere are trying to suppress it. The dawn of this new civilization is the single most explosive fact of our lifetimes. He's saying that the third wave, as it emerges, which began in the middle of the 1900s, it just takes about 100 years for a new wave to kind of catch up and take over the whole paradigm of the planet. So he's saying this third wave, which is still in its emergence state, is as profound as when the first wave of civilization came along, and that was the agrarian age. Before the agrarian age, we were just roaming nomads. He's saying this third wave is as earth-shaking, as rattling, as radical as when the second wave came along, and that was the industrial age, the industrial revolution. And that he is saying we are the children of this next transformation, the third wave. And here's what he points to, that humanity faces a quantum leap forward, the deepest social upheaval and creative restructuring of all time. So even more significant than the previous two waves. And here we are in the middle of it, of the middle of its emergence. He's saying much in this new third wave contradicts the industrial model. And the third wave is highly technological and anti-industrial. The key, though, is that this, in his language, that this third wave is the first truly humane civilization in recorded history. It's from the book, The Third Wave. You can see it. It was absolutely speaking into the future. In fact, his book, what he talks about, will be relevant for 80 years after he wrote the book, because he actually predicts what's coming and then it's happening. So let me say something about this idea of the first truly humane civilization in recorded history. If I quote him, actually, I'll paraphrase him. What he said about the industrial age, the third wave, he said, is the most, the first truly humane civilization. What he said about the industrial age is that it was the most brutally dehumanizing era in human history. And that's because the school systems had to be created to prepare farmers to merge with machines. So we'd never been asked to merge with a machine. A human being had never been asked to become one with a machine until the industrial age was born. And human beings rejected it in the beginning of the industrial age. Farmers got placed in the workplace and they were just like not very obedient. They were not punctual. They wanted to keep creating new solutions, and it was just mayhem. And so they said, and this is in Europe where it started in the late 1700s, wow, it's too late for these people. We have to get them when they're 5. And what was created was a school system that could prepare us as an organism to become machine-like in our ability to be punctual, obedient, and the third, to perform brutally repetitious tasks. And basically take the creativity out of a human being, because creativity is highly disruptive. And that is counter to what was needed in the industrial age. So I realized when I read that, after coming out of Penn and Wharton, I thought, whoa, I've just been programmed to think in a second wave industrial age paradigm. And it's not a match for what I need to do with my life. So I've dedicated all professional decades of my life since graduating to up leveling to third wave thinking and wanting others to have access to it. So I've been talking about this for the last 22 years. And when the pandemic hit, I said, whoa, the pandemic is just accelerating the closing out of the industrial age. So it presents all of these opportunities and challenges at the same time. So let me bring another conversation back, because we're going to look at, so if you want to save that, I want to jump to this book. It came out right after Toffler's book. So Toffler's book was a work of art, highly acclaimed, as I said. And then this gentleman, John Nesbitt, came out with the book Megatrends, but it's the subtitle that's the key. Look what he said. Here are the 10 new directions transforming our lives. It's like saying, here's the third wave, and here are the 10 major currents that will take over the way we think and live over the next decades to come. And trend number 8, direction number 8, look what he called it. In 82, he said, we are shifting from a society organized by hierarchies to one organized by networks. And it poses 2 very important questions. 1, where is the seat of power in a hierarchy? And we all know the answer, the tippy top, which meant that everyone else in that hierarchy sits in the non-power seat. So Amy, do you know that when you giggle, I hear you? Do you want me to hear you giggling? Just if you are happy to have your giggles be in here, make sure you stay off mute, but I love it. She's definitely getting a kick out of this. And then the other question is, in a network, the power seat is in the middle of the network, which means instead of a hierarchy where only one or a small family sits in the power seat at the top and everyone else sits in the seat of not power, so a hierarchy is made where most of people, 99.9% of people sit in the seat of not power. In a networked reality, where you actually suddenly realize that in the middle of the network is where the seat of power is, which is why he said, wait a second, consider that there is a total shift of power as we move into a networked reality, in that an individual holds more power in his or her hand than has ever been held by an individual in human history, because in the networked reality, each one of us sits in the seat of ultimate power. Whew, I can barely even say that without being so moved, because this is a journey of me reinventing myself from knowing, like programmed to sit in the seat of not power, because I've been programmed by my school system to live in a hierarchical dynamic. And hierarchy means that person at the top has the power. In a networked reality, it's in my hands. So it's actually a new order of responsibility. And it means I create everything from whatever idea I have ripples out into my network, which is why social capital is the most powerful currency we have. So I'm also going to talk about another form of currency, and that is our relationship to money. Because currency is energy, currency is power, currency is how we express our impact, whether I'm giving to philanthropy, whether I buy the things I want or not. So let's look at this. Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You'll see it in the middle of the 3 there. And it's his second book that I find to be the most remarkable, and that was called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And here's what he talks about. He says there are only 4 ways a human being can generate cash flow. I started studying this about 22 years ago, I think it was, because I became fascinated by something. One of my core principles is the word freedom. I became fascinated by those who had freedom and those who didn't. And I watched my parents' friends, and I noticed that some worked their tails off and some seemed to just be like playing golf all the time. And I remember asking my dad when I was a teenager, how come during the summer, how come Mr. So-and-so is like, he's the only dad, he's always around all week. Every dad rushes back to work on Sunday nights. And then he's playing golf or badminton or whatever. It's, this guy was always around with his 3 daughters. And my dad said, oh, well, he owns 20 McDonald's. And then I was like, note to self at age 14, what is going on that person has a business that he doesn't run back to? So I began to study freedom and money and the intertwining of the 2. And when I found this quadrant, it rocked my world, and it was the beginning of my transformation. And what he says is, E quadrant, these are the 4 ways, and people can be in multiple quadrants. It's kind of cool to play. It's like having different languages. We can speak French and Spanish and have all these different languages, and certain ones are appropriate for certain spaces. It's the same way with this money conversation. E quadrant means I work for someone. I could be the janitor at Ford Motor Company. I could be the president at Ford Motor Company. I used to work at Ford Motor Company a long time ago. And they had me on the fast track, but I got burned out. I had to leave. But it was I had people vying for me, and I just needed another place to express myself is what happened, because I thought, whoa, I don't like someone controlling my time. So let me go to the S quadrant. And I started my own consulting business in my late 20s. And I moved into the S quadrant. The S quadrant meant that I owned a business that only paid me if I showed up. So it was kind of the same as when I got paid to show up on my job, or I got paid to show up in my consulting job. So I realized it wasn't much of a difference financially, but in terms of my relationship to money, I still traded time for money, but it altered the sense of I could work my own hours and I could work with whoever I wanted. So it felt like freedom to me, though I wasn't free. If I ever stopped working, my income would stop. So the nature of the left-hand side of the quadrant is that E's and S's share a linear relationship to money. They both trade time for money. It could be lots of money, but if they don't show up for 3 months, the question is, does it stop? On the right-hand side of the quadrant, something transformative happens. B quadrant and I quadrant, which I'll define in a moment, create a leveraged relationship to money, or what I like to call a non-linear relationship to money. And I've been studying these people, and again, since I was a kid, been looking at what is happening over there with people who build a business that runs without the owner. Now, that was not me. I actually owned 2 franchises, and I thought, oh my gosh, I bought a system. But the problem is franchising is such that when you buy 5 or more franchises, it's in the B quadrant. Owning 4 or less franchises puts that person in the S quadrant. There's not enough revenue. If I buy 4 or less, there's not enough revenue to hire the person that runs it. Once I have 5 or more franchises, the revenue allows for me to have a whole support structure that runs it such that the owner can extract themselves and go work on whatever else they want to be working on. And then the I quadrant would be investor, could be investing in real estate, art, being an angel investor in other businesses. One of my dreams is to be an investor in film that makes a difference on the planet. So the question is, wherever we might be on this quadrant, the question also is, notice that the people we hang around are often in the same quadrant. Why? If I'm an English speaker, it's probably because I'm hanging around English speakers. I used to know French, but since I don't have any French speakers around me, guess what happened to my French? It's kind of evaporated. Now, once I'm around French speakers, it does come back. I know it's day 3 when I'm in France, that it takes 3 days for my wiring to kick back in for my fluency in French to return. So it gets rusty. Or if I'm trying to learn French and I don't get fluent enough, if I go away from anyone speaking French, it never gets lodged into the amygdala. And then my fluency can't return until I spend again, maybe months immersed in that language. So the point, though, is whatever business we're in is a language. If I'm in real estate, there's a language that goes with it. If I'm in the insurance industry, there's a language that goes with it. So there's the industry language, but more importantly, the backdrop is what's my relationship to cash flow and what quadrant I live in. So one of the exercises that we're going to do in a breakout in just a minute will refer to this quadrant. And then they also talk about something else that's happening. I love studying this gig economy. What has been happening is that companies are beginning to create side gigs. Like people think, oh, Uber, they're in the business of, giving people rides. Actually, Uber is in the business of having someone who's got a car and helping them turn that car into a gig. Think about that one for a second. Uber doesn't own a single car. They're just the connector between people who own the car that would like to make some money on the side and finding them and hooking them up with the person looking for a ride. Airbnb. They're turning people who have a spare bedroom, spare apartment, solo cottage or carriage house, and turning that piece of property into a place to stay for those looking for a place to stay. Again, Airbnb, they're simply connecting people. So they think, oh, Airbnb, they provide more lodging than anyone, and they don't own anything. They just own the infrastructure to connect. These are industries that came out of nowhere. I was in a Lyft recently, and I asked the guy, when I say recently, probably the early part of this year, not since I was in one Uber in 7 months because of the pandemic. I asked the guy, he's like, yeah, I always want to know what they do on the side. Like, this is your side gig or is this your main gig? He goes, it used to be my side gig. I started making more money driving my Uber than my full-time job. So this is now my full-time gig. It was so inspiring. I could hear this reinvention happening. Look at what Facebook and Amazon are doing. A lot of them, yes, are connecting people, but there's business and marketplace situations happening. Again, being a connector. Amazon has an affiliate model. So now let me say something about the affiliate model. The affiliate model is the future. In my experience and what I see happening, kind of like studying futurists and being my own sort of futurist, is that the affiliate model is the wave of the future. Uber drivers are simply affiliates partnering with a larger system. If I bought 10 McDonald's, in the 70s, I was an affiliate. These are loose terms I'm using, of a larger entity. Franchising is an affiliate model. Keller Williams, real estate. People can be a realtor or they can build their own agency of other affiliates within that infrastructure. So this is the future of business. And now the question is, how am I adapting myself? We'll do a little breakout in a moment, as I said, and having you look at this. But here is what's being asked of each of us. Personal reinvention at a level we've never even imagined. The pandemic has accelerated this. So if I want to be a match for this new economy, I would have to reinvent myself. But here's the problem with reinvention. It requires me to override the patterns in my amygdala that are based in the comfort zone. We all have a sort of our comfort zone. It's kind of who I know myself to be. That's the challenge with the quadrant. Most people are like, well, I'm an S quadrant. I've always been there. So that's my self-image. I think from that place, I hang out there. What it's been taking me to reinvent myself, to move on to the right-hand side of the quadrant, has been one of the most exhilarating experiences. I didn't know how big I could be. But I had to confront that I was actually wired to see myself and have a self-image of S quadrant thinking. The language of the S quadrant became sort of my native tongue, and I didn't even know I was speaking it. So this is why I find those who can reinvent themselves have a profound relationship with their amygdala. So that's why the pandemic is it can be seen like the silver lining of it is that as it accelerates this new reality, it's inviting us to rapidly up-level our own self-perception, to let go of our old patterns of who we've known ourselves to be and learn how to invent and embrace new skills, new thinking, and new self-image patterns. So I'm going to come off the screen share for a moment and just talk about the amygdala, and then we'll do a fun breakout exercise. So the amygdala, it looks like a funny word. It's spelled Amy. Think of a girl named Amy, middle initial G, last name Dalla. That's the best way to remember it. So amygdala. It's a very strange word. I have clients who call it mygdala. Don't worry if you can't pronounce it. It's just kind of a fun word. So the amygdala is this little part of our brain in the back. Sometimes they say it's like a lima bean kind of shape. And what it does is it holds the patterns that guarantee our survival. It actually has what I like to call, if you're a sci-fi fan or the robot movies, every robot's programmed with what's called a primary directive. It's kind of like that. It's a piece of machinery that has one single purpose. Its primary directive is to guarantee the survival of this organism. My amygdala has the assignment to guarantee the survival of this organism. It's not committed to my growth, my development, and my full thriving. It only wants to know that I survive things, that I'm going to guarantee my survival. And it works on something called stored perceptual memory patterns, which means if I go down a path, let's just picture the days of living in the jungle when we were, in villages and small base camps, and we would live in areas and we could go out during the day, but we would have a rule, get home before nighttime, because at night, scary things come out of the bushes. So we would be programmed since we were little children to always be home before sunset. And we'd get in trouble if we weren't. So we would learn in our amygdala, bad things happen to us if we stay out late, so let's just get home. And let's just say I'm heading home that day after foraging, and I realize the sun is down the horizon further than it should be at this point in the path. I need to hustle or I'm going to be home after sunset. So I'm booking down that path. And let's just say something happened, like a tree fell or whatever, and I see a new kind of opening that I'd never seen. And as I look down this opening, I realize that's a shortcut to base camp. So I'm thinking, this is great. I'll make up some time. I start to head down that path. And here's what happens at the threshold of any new path. Notice the symbolism here. Any new path I'm about to step upon, my amygdala asks one key question. Have I been down this? Do I have a stored pattern for this path? And it does a file search. It's searching. If I've never been down the path, there's no file to be found. So it will literally come back with 0 files found. And now here's the question. Can my amygdala guarantee my survival down this path if it doesn't know what's coming? And if it doesn't have a pattern for what's coming, it can't guarantee my survival. So this is where the amygdala comes into play. It must make sure that no matter what, I do not go down this unforeseen, uncharted territory path. So it will use all kinds of things. And this is another program. You can go find these. I teach some of it. Is we got to know what our amygdala, I call it, do you know what your amygdala ringtone is? See, the amygdala will now throw everything in front of us to not let us go down there. It'll start to make me feel feelings of terror. It'll even have voices say, oh, I don't know if this sounds like such a good idea. So that inner voice is often our amygdala trying to disguise itself as our inner voice so that we don't go down there. Because if I know it's my amygdala, I'll be like, amygdala, that's just you again. I'm not listening to you. It actually has to disguise itself in a voice that we will hear and heed because it thinks we're going to die if we go down this path where it doesn't know it's coming. So all peak performers, all people who transform and reinvent themselves in all kinds of ways have a profound and deep respect for their amygdala. At the same time, they study it. They watch what it says. What my amygdala, this is not good during the pandemic. When I am on the brink of a breakthrough, when I'm on like the edges of new territory, it makes me get flu-like symptoms. I know that's like, I'm not kidding you. This is prior to the amygdala. If I ever would get the flu, I'd climb in bed and be like, oh, I feel like crap. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've been taking care of myself. This is not the flu. And as soon as I would say, I think it's my amygdala, 30 minutes later, the flu is gone. It's like the weirdest thing. My amygdala will make me get headaches, flu-like symptoms, tired, hungry. It will try to distract me from the path. And it also says things like, everyone's got their own. Mine is like, who are you? You don't know. This is outside your wheelhouse. This is not your specialty. You're not. So that's the challenge is our amygdala will talk to us to stay in your comfort zone. So I want to bring us back to the slide for the breakouts. Do we want to do like a 2-minute, 3-minute breakout? What do you think, Amy? You want to put people, you're on mute. So just come off mute and tell me if we want to do a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I have quadrants. What do you think?
You verbally give the question right now, and we're gonna get tight for time, but we'll go over a few minutes today so we can share a couple things. But yeah, guys, Cynthia's going to pose a fun question. As you can see, this is a passion of hers, and as you can see, this stuff sparks great interest in my mind, and so I thought you would love all this, as dense and exciting as it is. So, yes, Cynthia, you pose the question, and I'll start people getting people into breakouts.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll kind of arrange groups of 2 or 3 because that way everybody gets like a one minute share.
Yep.
So I'd say the most we want is 3 in a group, so everyone can share.
Okay.
What quadrant or quadrants have you played in? So the question is, what quadrants have you played in? And what quadrants are the people you spend the most time with? It could be the people you spend a lot of time with growing up. And then who are the people you spend the most time with over the last 2-3 years to give you an idea of what language in the quadrant shapes your experience. I mean, if I'm hanging out with Spanish speakers, that's why I'll have Spanish in my brain. So look to see, do a little inventory. Where are you on the quadrants? And then who do you spend the most time with? Look at the 5 or 10 friends you spend the most time with, and then look at your kind of immediate family, parents, siblings, maybe even your grandparents, and have some fun. Share with your partners what quadrant shows up, not because it might be what you chose, but by virtue of the language. I didn't choose English. There's an example. I didn't choose English. It was what I was born into. So I'm having you take responsibility for, what got programmed into me by virtue of my environment. So take a minute each. So do groups of 2 or 3, and we'll see you back here in 3 minutes.
Okay, we'll see you back. Okay. Guys, I'll put you in. Yeah.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Barry.
Well, you're a little sideways.
I know, hold on. Sorry.
There you go.
It wasn't sideways before. I have it on my phone versus my laptop. So
Right. Well, that makes it feel better.
Yeah.
Good. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And so that's a tough question. Wow.
I know.
I have to think about that one.
Yeah. Well, for me, I would say like I've been more like employee based, I guess, with surrounding myself. I kind of grew up with that, but also my dad also owned a business, so I kind of dabbled into both the E and the S. But that's been mostly the people I've surrounded myself with as well, ironically. So
yeah. Well, great. Thanks for sharing, Diana. How about you? I think you're on mute.
Sorry, nice to officially meet you.
Me too.
So for me, everybody I know is employee. I'm an employee. That's where I feel most comfortable. But the only one who I don't know, the only one who has anything else that I know is my dad, self-employed, and he's always trying to get me to figure out a way to be a consultant and go on my own because he says, working for other people, you're never going to really have your life
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
you're employed. So, yeah,
That's interesting.
know how to.
Yeah, I actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and what's interesting about the book is that we're not taught about money. You're not trained about money in school. You're not taught how to handle money, how to manage money, how to invest money. You're taught to get a job in a corporation and work for somebody. So to break out of that is really, really difficult. I've experienced all three, except for the investing. I'm a little afraid of that.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody else. Samita.
Hi, Barry.
Hi.
I think I'm like mostly surrounded by employees and possibly business owners. I find that I'm really good with fighting for somebody else's money. I have big problems fighting for my own money.
Isn't that interesting? Wow. I think that's so common. Me too. And when I've had corporate jobs, I'm watching their assets more than I'm watching my own assets.
Right. It's really easy to fight tooth and nail for theirs, but it's very embarrassing to fight for your own.
Yeah.
So and I've kind of had a business on my own, but I think I bit off a lot more than I could chew, so I had to give that up at some point. So it's a tough call. I mean, the one thing that working gives, being an employee, is you can go to sleep at night knowing you're getting a paycheck. With your own thing, that doesn't always happen. So it's a toss up, I think.
Yeah. What I find with small businesses, and I started out as a freelance artist, which was basically a business. You're out there selling your products. I had a jewelry company. It's you reach a certain point, you get to a certain level, and it's going past that level. Is how do you, even in a job, it's kind of like getting a promotion. You're at a job and you're working hard and you're doing well, and you're not sure why you're not getting to that next level. Or do you go to another job? I see a similarity in that respect to both of them, but about the sleeping sound at night and getting a paycheck, there's value to that.
Yeah.
Until they lay you off, and that kind of ruins everything.
Well, yeah.
I'm just teasing. Sorry.
You're right. So.
Yeah. So Diana, where are you, in New York?
Actually, I grew up in North Jersey. I live in Fort Lee. It's right across the bridge, George Washington Bridge.
Oh, that's
so, yeah, but all my employment except for one was in New York City. So I've spent a lot of time there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's great. Ashley, where are you from?
I'm originally from Ohio, but I live in Hoboken, New Jersey right now.
Oh, New Jersey. Ohio. My niece's husband is from Ohio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what part?
No, you know what? I probably do, but it's not coming to me right now. Right now they live in Texas, so I just think of them as they're in Dallas.
Yeah.
So, a lot of my family, my brother moved to Dallas. I just think of them as Texans now.
Of course.
And Samita, are you a New Yorker? I think you're.
No, I live in Jersey, but I worked in New York for all the time that I've been in the States. So it's a good 20-something years.
Amy and I, we bike around. That's how we get around the city. And a couple of times I've had to go uptown, and wow, it's Midtown is a ghost town.
It's really a ghost town. I was there yesterday. Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
And it's not getting any fuller, which is really freaking me out.
Yeah.
Because every week I go, I'm like, where is everybody?
Yeah. The traffic seems to still be there. I don't know why. Or how.
I know.
Why not?
Yes.
Barry, what's your background? Are you from the clothing industry or?
No, not at all. So my background is I went to School of Visual Arts, and my first part of my career was being an artist and an illustrator. And actually, I still paint. For the past couple of years, I've gone back to painting, kind of like impressionistic, about relationships with people, a lot of figurative painting, but that impressionistic palette. And paintings are pretty large, 30 by 40. So I've done a lot of things. My last position, which I left in June, I was at FedEx for 18 years.
Wow.
So I was a sales manager for 18 years. And in the middle of COVID, Amy and we spoke about me leaving and helping Amy with her business. And in the middle of COVID in June, I gave notice and I left. So I'm working with Amy.
I'm like,
Congratulations.
Look at that.
that's amazing.
I'm sorry?
So that's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
For you.
Thanks. It's a little bit of a gamble, but you have to do your passion. You have to live
Yes.
your
Been
passion.
a great.
Take a chance. So hey, it was great chatting with everybody.
You
I think
too.
that's that message to go back.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
wait, how do I find it again? Here it is.
Thank you.
Eve Breaker.
Seconds, right?
Yeah, it takes 60 seconds exactly. Yeah. I'm learning.
It's okay. So it's just me and you in this room?
No, everybody's coming back.
Oh, yeah, but this chat room.
In the chat room was you, me, and Rosie McCall and Umair. Yep.
Oh, okay, Rosie.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. So kids, isn't that fascinating how that whole thing works? If we are brought up with employment and owning your own business, self-employment as a thought process, as in a language, then it is a bit of a challenge to move in these new revolutionary times into, as Cynthia's trying to teach us, into that more a networking business of building businesses, and move into the B quadrant and the I quadrant on the right. If you're happy as an S or an E, that's hats off. There's no judgment, which I don't know if everybody got into kind of conversations, but like my parents, I had a teacher and I had a man, my dad owned a bar. So entrepreneurial and an educator, so I do think that way. As a small business, my dad inspired me to take that risk and run a business, and here we are today. But I'm also very transparent to let you know that if I am gone 6 months, we don't have a business. So I am not in a B quadrant. I basically am the S quadrant. And what sparks me when I speak with Cynthia is, how do I decide to move on? Because I'd like this to perpetuate itself so that I could be, if anyone was ever ill in my family and I needed 3 months, that I couldn't focus on the business. And how all of us need to look at this whole new paradigm as things are happening. So I want to invite you, and Cynthia, thank you for this amazing, crazy, great conversation, my darling. Appreciate it. Yes, Cindy Ray, thank you. And great to see everybody today. But so here's a quickie. And then I also want to remind everybody that we are helping those if they need coaching. But let me just share with you, Cynthia and I are partnering. And we are holding a quick little lunch and learn, because I find this stuff fascinating. And I feel that if it fascinates you as well, I want you to all to feel, welcome to come. And Cynthia is hosting an event on Tuesday, October 27th. And join us for a powerful dialogue with Cynthia. It is in your chat. Okay, you can sign up through that. It's a quick Eventbrite, I believe, right? Your link, Cynthia, is an Eventbrite?
Yep.
Okay.
Free event, just get registered. And the cutoff is Monday afternoon. So be sure to register by Monday afternoon.
Okay,
It's
yes.
Tuesday at lunchtime, noon Eastern.
Yes. Okay. So noon Eastern time. She's inviting other people in the world, but I feel very empowered by these conversations, these dialogue. We're talking about inspiration. Elevate my mind. Elevate, where do I want my business to be in a 2-year span, 4-year span, 12-year span? Okay. And as I've said, we're all learning together. So this just got me very excited. And Cynthia and partners, she is helping organizations learn how to play this game in different quadrants as well. She understands what gig economy opportunities are out there, a lot more greater than I are. She's very involved in an international global one as well that she will speak of at this lunch. So be prepared to learn a little bit about some of the gig economy options. And I think it would be fun. So it's a lunch and learn next Tuesday on the 27th. Amy Cole Connect offers you coaching. I'm going to put that in the chat. Barry, maybe you could put a coaching link in the chat for us. I'm working a great deal with people one-on-one. We're doing quickie 90 minutes. If there's a category in your life right now, maybe you're interviewing a lot and you're not nailing it, or somehow we're not getting that final offer. Let's sit down and look at it. If you still don't feel that your resume or your LinkedIn really speaks to who you are, that amazing brand, that creator, you know how I feel about you. You're intensely crazy amazing, and I want you to be able to spit that out, chew it up, spit it out, and tell the world. Then give us a call. Amy and Lisa Cole are always here to speak with you. We also have our team. But I love you guys for listening and for coming on and for making me inspired to find new categories for us to speak about and to open up our minds. So, big fat God bless. Love you to pieces. Let's see you at the Lunch and Learn, and we'll see you next virtual breakfast. Thank you, Cynthia Greenewald. See how come I like that girl? She's on it. All right. Bye, kids. Good to see you. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Bye, guys. Great to see
I'll
you.
share if you can register, anyone who can't make it, but you register for the event, I'll just make a point to share the replay with you so we stay connected. I just want to support the ongoing dialogue for everybody.
Yes.
All right, great.
Yes. Amen. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thanks.